طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So welcome all to the network security course. My name is Amr Mohammed. As you probably know, I'm the coordinator of graduate studies and I'm a professor in the department since 2019. Before that I actually joined the department in 2007, and before that I did my master and PhD in Canada in University of British Columbia. My core area of expertise is actually network and communication. It's not actually security. So this is just a small disclaimer, and so inshallah we'll learn from each other, and hopefully this course will be beneficial for everyone. So in the first part of this lecture, I'm going to focus on the syllabus. I'm going to summarize what the course, how the course will run. For me, the syllabus is always the contract between the instructor and the students. So once we both agree on the contract, then we seal it, and then we start working on the course based on that contract. So it's an important component. So for this case, we are going to discuss network security, and I'm going to provide all the details about that. So this is the course description. So the course focuses on network security, which actually focuses on securing data while it's being communicated over the network or over the internet. Unlike a course like information security, where it focuses on, where the course information security focuses on securing information and data while it's being stored, or securing like scripts or programs or something like that are stored on the server. So here we are concerned with securing the communication between different parties. So in which case we do require to have a prior background in networks for sure. So if you don't have any prior background about networks, then you're going to have some trouble in this course. So you need to have clear understanding of all the network components, the protocols, the layers, things like that. So that's required in this course. So these are the core course learning outcomes. The way that this course is structured is that in the first part we're going to focus on some definitions. So we're going to lay the ground for some foundational definitions about security. So what security mechanism is, what security service is, what is the difference, as you said, what is the difference between computer security, information security, network security, things like that. What is a security attack? What are the security protocols, and so on. In addition to that, we're going to also cover the security techniques or security mechanisms. So in the first part of the course, or half the course is going to focus on the security mechanisms. What are the techniques that can be used to secure the communication? In the second part of the course, we are going to focus on security protocols. So the protocol or the security services, they can actually use one or more of these techniques to secure communication. So the second part of the course, we are going to focus on protocols. Okay, like for example, TLS in the transport layer. So TLS works in the transport layer to provide some kind of security within the transport layer level. So what is the meaning of providing a security from a specific level in the network stack? What does that mean? So we're going to discuss that. So these are this is the structure briefly. As course learning outcomes, these course learning outcomes are divided based on the structure as I explained it. So in the first part, we are going to discuss all the network security essentials in terms of definitions, characteristics, things like that. And then, so this is like part 0 per se of the book. The book is actually divided into parts. Each part is multiple chapters, one or more chapters. So in part 0 focuses on chapter 1, which focuses on the definitions and the essentials and the fundamentals related to network security. So and then we are going to focus on the here is like part 1 and 2 and 3. So here we are going to identify both the security mechanisms, the security services, things like that. So here we have multiple chapters. These two, they focus on hands-on. These two learning outcomes are going to focus on the hands-on. And here students, they have to actually familiarize themselves with some of the hands-on tools that are being used for security. So this will be through like two types of assessments. One is assignments and the other one is project, the course project. I'm going to talk about the course project in a minute. So in the assignments, I'm going to give you some instructions on trying to go through using one of the tools. It could be like MATLAB, could be like programming, or it could be using like some like Wireshark or some tool like Snort or something like that. So, so for the assignments, you are going to be required to download this tool and start to familiarize yourself with the tool. And I'm going to give you some clear steps that you need to conduct in order to perform certain procedure using this tool. Hence, you get familiar with that tool and what this tool is used for. So this is the hands-on part. The other part is to work in group or individuals. In your case, I think it will be more realistically in group of two or something to work on the course project. I actually posted already on Blackboard one assignment, the first assignment, which is due in 2 weeks, in which you need to just read the project description, which I'm going to talk about now, and just prepare like a one-page proposal. So what is the topic? In a very high level, what is the topic that you want to work on as part of your project? And the reason that we do that early on is for two reasons. One reason is that students, when they know exactly what they plan to work on, they can actually plan for it efficiently. And the other reason is not to delay the work until the very, very last minute, okay, like 1 or 2 weeks before the end of the course, when you start to think about doing the project, and in that case it will be too late, and whatever you will come up with in 1 or 2 weeks, it will not be significant anyway. So instead, the way that we conduct the project is based on like some phases. So phase 1 is what I posted on Blackboard. In phase 1, what I need is like a proposal, a small proposal. It's like 1 page to describe it. So it's like in a very, very high level. What is the topic or what is the area that you plan to work on in a very high level? At that point, you are just required to tell me, I'm going to work on doing some performance evaluation for TLS as a security protocol in the transport layer, for example. Very high level. But once you do that, and I give you the green light to go ahead, this is a commitment from both sides. So if you want to change the topic later on, it's fine, but you have to let me know. If you have any challenges, things like that, you have to let me know. This is to actually avoid any surprises at the very end. Because if we leave it open like this, usually we have many surprises at the very end. Students, they delay the work until the very last minute, and they start to work and they have challenges. So they say, okay, I have challenges, I cannot do anything. No, we need to identify these challenges early on so that we can work on them and try to get around them. So phase 1 is, as I said, is a proposal which is due in 2 weeks. Phase 2 is detailed design, where you talk about the specific scenario that you want to work on and how you are going to do it, what tools you are going to use in great details. The only part which is not included in phase 2 is only the results, since the implementation is not done yet. But you have to think about what is the scenario that you are going to use and what are the tools you are going to use. What is the scenario exactly in details? What protocols, what tools, and so on. And I will provide a template. It's not like it's left for the student to provide whatever structure. I will provide a template where you have to follow in order to define these details. Phase 3, of course, is just the final submission, where it includes a presentation, and final submission with everything, which includes the presentation, the report, and the implementation, everything. Okay? And of course, needless to say here is that I do not accept any projects which are like survey paper. That's not acceptable. So here we have to build something. We have to develop something. I cannot accept a project where you use the Wireshark to just sniff some packets or something like that and tell me, okay, so I've read these packets and here is the log. And I have actually analyzed this log in any way. That's not acceptable. You have to develop something. You have to build something. Actually, with the Chat GPT in place, I think it becomes easier now. So you can build something easily, and that's actually part of the learning outcomes here, part of the hands-on part. And very soon you're going to have to work on projects, on thesis, research. So that's a core skill that any graduate student should have. I'm going to talk about another part, which is as part of the assessment. Okay, so far. So that's these are the course learning outcomes. These are the topics. As I said, this is the course introduction and basic concepts. This is part 0, which is going to be covered mainly today, and then these two. These two are part of part 1. So part 1 is going to focus on security techniques and mechanisms. So what is symmetric cryptography? What is public cryptography? What are the different mechanisms within each category? What is the hashing signatures and so on. So these are different mechanisms and techniques which can be used. These techniques later on can be combined or integrated together to provide like some security services. So these are the security services that are going to be covered in part 2. In part 2, we are going to cover security services in each layer in the layered stack. So for example, this is the network access control. And as we all know, network access, which is the bottom layer in the TCP/IP protocol stack. So control access or access control which includes, of course, physical layer and data link layer, right? So what is the security protocol and services which can be integrated with this layer to provide security in that layer? Okay, so this is for network access security. And then we are going to, actually I'm going to change the sequence a little bit, so we're going to jump into chapter 11 and talk about IP security, because we are going to go from bottom up. So network access first, and then IP, in IPsec, of course, to provide security in the IP layer. And then we are going to cover the transport layer security. Of course, wireless security goes with the network access. Okay, so we're going to first cover network access and wireless security, and then IPsec, and then TLS. So we're going to go layer by layer. This is part 3, and in part 3 we are going to cover intrusion detection. Intrusion detection is a layer agnostic security service. It's not based on a certain layer. So it's for the entire system. So we are going to discuss the details about this and how, of course, machine learning can play a critical role for intrusion detection, as you might know. So this is to actually provide security for, or provide intrusion detection and protection for the entire system, not particularly one specific layer. So we call this systems security as opposed to layer-based security. Okay. Any questions so far? Type. So for the assessments, the good news is that we're not going to have final. There's no final exam. Okay. The other part of the good news is that we have anything else. We have everything else. Okay. So there's no final, but everything else is included. So in terms of assignments, we're going to have 5 assignments. Okay, 5 assignments. So every like other week you have assignment. Every like two weeks or something you have an assignment. So these assignments are classified, in my opinion, in three different types. So type 1 are the assignments where you will be given a technical paper. Okay, you will be given a technical paper, and this technical paper you are going to be required to provide not just a summary, but you will provide clear answers to specific questions based on your understanding of the paper. Okay? So I'll give you clear questions, okay? And then you will answer these clear questions based on your understanding of the paper. So any copying and pasting from the paper is forbidden, of course, but you read the paper and then you understand these questions based on your understanding. So this is type 1, which is called paper survey. Okay, that's type 1. Type, we're gonna have 2 assignments, possibly like 2 assignments of that in that type. Type 2 is like for hands-on. So in this type 2, we'll possibly have like either one big assignment or 2 assignments. I'm debating with myself now. I'll see. One big assignment will be like you have to develop and work with some coding, either in Python, in MATLAB, things like that, where you need to develop or at least partially develop the security mechanisms that we will talk about in the course, including DES, triple DES, AES, things like that, RC4, and so on. Okay? So you will have to program some of these mechanisms and then do some performance evaluation. Okay, so that's one assignment. Usually this assignment has a weight of 2 assignments because it requires a little bit of work, and usually we give it like early on, and I give you more than like 3 weeks or 4 weeks to, because it's actually a small project. It's not like an assignment, it's a small project. But the good news is I'm not gonna ask you to develop everything from scratch.
It doesn't require novel code.
No. Assignments, no. You don't have to innovate. I'm gonna give you the code, but this code is missing some parts, which is good because then you cannot use ChatGPT efficiently. So if I give you the assignment in high level, then ChatGPT develop this for me, and so no. Here, the code is going to be given, but small parts are missing, and you are required to fill the gap. Okay. So the framework itself is there, but you will just fill the gap based on your understanding of the security mechanisms. So as a warning, this particular assignment takes time. So once you see this assignment, you should be alert.
Can we have an example?
Yeah, so I can give you like a scenario, a small network scenario where you have a transmitter and receiver. And this transmitter can actually use any of the cryptographic techniques, DES, triple DES, okay? So I may give you the code for that transmitter where some parts of the mechanisms are removed, okay? So you're gonna have to fill this gap to make it work as DES or triple DES or AES and things like that, okay? So for example, if you use this transmitter to transmit, like for example, an image, and encrypt the image, okay? And when you encrypt the image and transfer it on the other side, you're supposed to get the image and reconstruct the image, okay? So that's good. So this is the happy path. But what if you have like wireless and you introduce some errors in between? So you're gonna have some interesting results. You'll see that. So if you do this assignment carefully, I think you will benefit a lot. You will see the effect of encryption on transferring different types of information, whether it's text, or image, or something like that. And the requirement is to evaluate the performance of this in terms of error probability, in terms of delay, things like that. It's an interesting assignment, in my opinion. Actually, some students, they were able to use this assignment later on. If you plan to do the project option of the thesis, that's a very nice component that you can use it for the project of your for your graduation later on. if you're gonna use the project option. Actually, 2 students have done this before after completing this assignment. So this is type 2. Type 3, or category number 3, which is like this is, I use this assignment usually to prepare you for the exam, because we're gonna have exams. Don't think that we don't have exams. So we're gonna have one exam, the midterm. Well, the midterm is technically a final, because we do it later on, very late in the course. So it covers most of the material, okay? So I'm gonna give you some narrative questions from the book, so these questions are key questions, important questions, and you're gonna have to solve the assignment, and then like focus on these questions as a preparation for the exam. So that when you get to the exam, at least you have tested yourself before going to the exam. Okay. طيب. So that's another important component that I have in all my classes actually, which is a seminar. So students are going to be asked to provide a seminar. Okay? A seminar. Okay? So each student, and actually if you go to Blackboard now, you will see a link for the seminar schedule. Okay? So you need to catch, because I have like certain time slots. So we're gonna have a seminar starting next week. So rather than trying to find who's planning to do the seminar next week, so you have the schedule, so you can write your name, and whoever is left is going to be allocated in one of these slots.
It's for 20 minutes or 30 minutes?
I'll talk about this. So usually the seminar is around 20 minutes. Actually, the presentation is around 15 minutes, and 5 questions for feedback and questions and answers, and like interactive discussion about the presentation. Okay. So for the seminar format, again, it's not. I'm not gonna leave it up to every student to come up with anything, because I like to give like clear expectations. So the expectation is that you will have to get 2 technical papers. Technical meaning non-survey papers. Non-survey papers. Listen to that carefully. 2 technical papers. Papers that provide some contribution. And try to be as careful as possible to select these papers. And I can provide like a very kind service, and you are free to just send me any list of papers and tell me, okay, so which of these papers you think are good. Okay? Because some of you may not have the experience to look at the paper and recognize whether this paper is good or bad, and you start reading it, and then you find yourself like wasting your time. No, I mean, for us, it's a 1-minute job or 2-minute job to just look at the paper and tell you. And chances are, if it's like if this paper is published in IEEE journal or Elsevier journal, things like that, usually that's a clear go. Conferences, well, maybe yes, maybe no. You have to be careful. Okay? So whoever is doing the presentation next week, feel free to just send me like list of papers. But these list of papers are they are within one topic or one area. So you need to find an area or a topic that you like, whether this topic is related to your planned thesis studies, whether this topic is related to your planned course project, okay, or an area that you would like to investigate, okay, and then search for 3, 4 papers, 5 papers, things like that, and then send these papers to me. I'm gonna look at these papers and tell you, okay, so these are the best 2 papers out of these, or maybe none of these papers are good. Please look at this paper. It's probably much better than these 2, something like that. But I need to know what topic you want to, talk about as part of the seminar. Okay? Too much information? Yeah, at least things are clear so far?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the seminar. Each student is required to provide one seminar, because the numbers are pretty high. So in other courses, we require people to provide 2 seminars. And it's actually a good practice for students. Yeah, definitely it's a good, because I mean in few months you are required to stand here and defend your thesis or your project. So that's a good practice for you.
What are the grading criteria? How can I say, okay, this is a good seminar or this is a bad seminar?
Right. So you can definitely use the same rubrics that I posted in the course project, pretty much. But for the seminar, that's a good question. There is, no matter how you provide rubrics and stuff, there will be some area of subjectivity. صح. There will be some area of subjectivity. But definitely, we give you some feedback, not only about the technical contents, we give you some feedback about the communication skills and what you should take care of when you present such seminars in the future and so on. And definitely we take into consideration the fact whether this is like your first seminar or first semester you've done this. So that's always considered. So if this is your first time, we don't expect you to provide like the perfect seminar with all the technical content as well as communication skills and stuff like that. Even as an instructor, until now, I'm learning. So I don't expect students to provide the best performance when it comes to seminar. But yet, we need to practice. That's one skill that you need to work on. So you need to practice. But definitely, yes, it's a good point. There is some level of subjectivity. Okay.
Basically, we're trying to explain the technical details of this
Right.
as technical as possible.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a surface level.
Yeah, well, service level, that's why I said clearly, non-survey papers. So you're going to have to go a little bit deep in the technique. But be careful. Don't just throw technical content in front of us and expect us to know, okay? Even if you yourself don't understand the technical content. Huh? So pay attention to that. Yani sometimes students, they present something that you don't really understand. Like, here is the content. So what is this? I don't know. What is this? I don't know. No, that's not a good way of presenting seminars. They say the best thing to learn thing is to teach it. صح? So yeah. So you need to do some effort to really try to understand the technical content and present whatever you understood.
So
I don't expect you to explain to me every single symbol and equation in the paper. That's not necessarily the objective. But at least you understand the methodology, okay? And you can explain why the results came up this way. If you don't understand something, don't present it. Don't put yourself in a difficult situation.
Just explaining it, right? Just
Yes.
explaining,
Yes.
explaining it.
You are explaining other people's work.
Okay.
Yes, this is not your work, so you are explaining other people's work. But this actually practices your ability to try to understand others' work. Because the best way to do any research is to be able to identify the gap given the literature and the state of the art.
When we present, should we open the paper and start to explain?
No, you have a presentation, you have a PowerPoint presentation, and again, do not just throw the content from the paper on the presentation. The presentation is going to have bullet points, as you will see in a minute. It's a presentation, so high-level points. Okay? And you are required to explain, based on these bullet points, you are explaining what the paper is all about. And you need to have at least 2 papers. At least 2 papers.
Regarding the Excel sheet, can
Yeah, later on. Yes. Oh, yes. Just put your name for now. The title is later. Okay? Don't worry about the title for now. Any other questions about this?
How many minutes for the presentation?
20 minutes, 15 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for discussion around the presentation. And usually we keep this at the very end of the lecture. Which makes sense because again, يعني برضو for me to talk 3 hours is kind of impossible. So at least we change the settings a little bit. So instead of looking at me and hate me for standing here for 3 hours, so at least we switch roles. At least for 20 minutes out of 3 hours. Yeah. Make sense? Any other questions? So other than this, we have the midterm, which is 30%. Okay, and the project. As we said, the project, again, 3 phases. So phase 1 is proposal. Phase 2 is detailed design. And then phase 3 is the final. And I posted already the project description, which describes all these phases. The immediate due date is after 2 weeks, which is for the proposal. Again, the proposal. Feel free, by the way, to come in the office hour or send me an email. We can schedule sometime online where we can discuss, based on your expertise, based on your knowledge, what would be a good topic for you to write the proposal about. Okay? And try to think ahead. Maybe this course project or this work would be the start of your thesis. And I can tell you, some students, based on this course project, they published Q1 journal papers based on this course project. So some students, they took the challenge. Okay? We worked together on defining a problem, and the problem happens to be a clear gap in the literature. So they worked on it, and they provided like a very, very nice paper, and it was published in Q1 journal. Okay, so try to set some objectives like this. Try to be ambitious. Any questions? Everything is clear? Okay. طيب, I think we're done. The rest is just يعني دباجات كده يعني رغي بتاع. This is for the university. Yeah, student affairs and academic support and so on. Yeah, so it's not important for us. Okay. So what